Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Since Ottawa seems to be a hot topic lately, I decided I was going to talk about why the O-Train is weird, why it's wacky, and why it's actually a pretty fundamentally good system. Let's get into it. So it seems to be on the Twitter sphere a lot these days that, wow, Ottawa's LRT is really weird. Now, I want to start by prefacing everything by just explaining the system briefly. Ottawa's LRT contains two lines. The first line, which we will not really be talking about today, is line 2. Line 2 uses diesel and operates in a kind of interesting way. It's very much a Swiss-style railway line where the minimum infrastructure possible is there. The line operates on a 12-minute frequency, diesel trains as I mentioned. It's a good line, not really urban rail though, it's more regional sort of rail. Line 1 is the line that we will be talking about today. And what is it? Well, that's hard to explain. Line 1 uses trams, or tram trains if you're a sophisticated type, and it operates a metro service. It's very strange and unusual in North America for a few reasons. First of all, low-floor trains, as in like 100% low-floor trains, don't really exist outside of Canada at the moment, if I'm correct. In the US, a lot of 70% low-floor trains exist, but Canada kind of introduced 100% low-floor with the new Toronto streetcars and the ION LRVs, and this is just another 100% low-floor LRV model from Alstom. Albeit the difference from the Toronto streetcar and the ION LRVs is that these ones are tram trains. What that means is that they're designed for higher top speeds to operate on main lines in Europe, though this is a North Americanized model, so I'm not sure what to say. What's weird is that these tram-style vehicles operate on a fully grade-separated right-of-way. What does that mean if you're not familiar? Well, grade separation is when crossings between a rail line or two roads or any kind of, pathway for movement cross without actually intersecting. So, for example, when a road jumps over a train track, that's grade separation. Ottawa's system is fully grade separated, which essentially makes it like a subway. You don't typically have grade crossings on subways, which means that you can't have a car that drives across subway tracks. You can't walk across subway tracks unless you're being very dangerous. Don't do that. And so what that means is that Ottawa's system can operate quite frequently. With typical light rail systems or tram systems, you can operate every 5 minutes, a little bit better than that, but it's hard to be consistent because you have to deal with traffic lights or car traffic. With a fully grade separated system like Ottawa's, you can operate trains really frequently. In fact, when the line opened, line 1 that is, frequencies were already at every 4 minutes, and they could eventually hypothetically go down to every 90 seconds, since the line also uses communications-based train control. What this means is that instead of a fixed block signaling system, each train has a kind of safety buffer around it, which allows them to travel super close together, like a lot of modern subway systems. So now that we've made it clear that Ottawa's system uses trams and that it's really more like a subway in the nature of its right-of-way, why did Ottawa bring these two things together and create this unholy creation? Well, the truth about it is that originally Ottawa was going for a more traditional light rail system, one that operates on the streets, kind of like a streetcar or something you'd see in Portland, Seattle, or Dallas. The issue is with a number of high-profile accidents where trains hit other vehicles or pedestrians, Ottawa was kind of pressured into the direction of grade separation, and so things moved away from the traditional light rail on the streets plan and moved towards this grade-separated low-floor tram metro system that we see today. The intention originally was that, when you got into certain areas, you would operate on the streets, and if you're operating on the streets, I guess it makes sense to have low floors so that you can basically step off the curb and into the train. Despite this no longer being the case, since Ottawa had already ordered the vehicles, which were new ones from Alstom as I mentioned before, they were stuck with these vehicles, but they were now creating a grade-separated system. Now, some problems came out of this. You see, trams don't have a ton of door density. Subway trains have a lot of doors per unit length. Trams simply don't, especially ultra-low floor trams, because the bogies get in the way of having doors kind of the entire length of the vehicle. What this means is that when you're stopping at a station, it takes longer to load and unload the vehicle. This slows down dwell times and makes it harder to achieve those high frequencies I talked about. In addition, since the doors are tram doors, they're not really designed to take a real beating from the public. unlike a lot of subway doors you see that are kind of heavy metal construction, what this means is that when people were to fight back against the doors or push them or put too much pressure on them, it caused door faults. What door faults are is basically an alarm system for the train software that tells the train you cannot move because a door is open, that is dangerous. And so what this led to, given the kind of new software, because these are new trams, at least a new specific model, and a lot of door issues, was a ton of delays. Because when you had a door fault, someone had to go check the door and verify that it wasn't actually open once it was closed, and this created a ton of issues. So not only did you have delays and trains that sometimes had to be taken out of service to repair doors, but you were starting from a point where the line did not really have a huge spare ratio, which means that the line never really had too many extra trains ready to go. So this, along with wheel flats and pantograph issues, led to a lot of fleet issues, which led to a lot of delays because of poor frequency, which kind of created this death spiral. Another issue that kind of added to this death spiral was the fact that a ton of passengers kind of queue up at several stations. The reason for this is that the O-Train, or Line 1 specifically, was built on an old transitway. Now, transitways are kind of a concept in Canada that exists in the US as well, but the Ottawa one is quite special. It's almost fully grade separated in the core sections where the train was later installed, and it had a ton of bus traffic. What happened though with this initial phase of the O-Train, which is not that long, it kind of stretches just outside of the downtown on both sides, is that all of the bus passengers coming from both directions, east, west, and actually also southwest, came in and just landed in these stations and overwhelmed trains because you just have a ton of people on the platform, and because the trains don't have a ton of doors, a lot of people can't get on at once. So you're getting crowding issues, door issues, and other issues all combining to create kind of a nightmare system. Now, to be clear, a lot of the issues like door faults and other things that were reducing the spare ratio have been fixed in the last couple months, but since not a ton of people are riding transit, this kind of perception that the line is not very good has kind of lingered. Now with this, people get the sense and sometimes claim that Line 2 is better. The issue with that claim is that they're not really the same type of line. Line 1 is an urban rail line. It's designed to act like a subway. Line 2 is a regional rail line. It doesn't operate super frequently, as I mentioned, because you have 3 Line 1 trains for every single Line 2 train, and because the trains are using diesel, they can't accelerate super quickly even though they are multiple units, which just makes a frequent service not super easy to operate. I think they could probably get up to 5-ish minutes, but beyond that, it's unlikely. The issue here really is not that Ottawa wanted to create a metro system, just that Ottawa matched the wrong vehicle to its metro system. Now with all of that in mind, the question really is, what's going to happen in the future? And the thing is, I think it's quite positive. I'm not actually too concerned for the future because Ottawa's system has really good bones. Line 2 obviously doesn't have any problems, and Line 1 is getting extended both east and west via 2 branches. These new branches will work to kind of spread out the passenger load from all of those buses that were originally just dumping passengers at Tunney's passenger station. All of these passengers being better distributed means that since they're all not getting on at one station, the doors can handle the inflows a bit better. What this will also lead to in the future is the ability to run higher frequencies because of the CBTC system, which is essentially automated trains with someone sitting at the front. In the future, Ottawa could run up to 90-second headways, as long as they get more doors on the trains to handle those inflows and outflows of people. Nonetheless, Ottawa's system is really beautiful. Not only are the stations really, truly far in excess of what you see in other light rail systems, but the system has some really iconic and beautiful structures. Much like the SkyTrain in Vancouver, the stations kind of give you a sense that you're in the system. You know, they have this iconic look with the aluminum paneling and the kind of sharp angles that just looks so O-Train. And for that, I love the system. The downtown stations are also super impressive. They're some of the most expansive in Canada, actually, with the full-length mezzanines on 2 of them and a large open space at Rideau. On the whole, the system is really impressive, and all it needs is more time. Thanks for watching the video today. I'll see you in the next one.